Welcome everyone to WarThunder Histories episode 13, and today we're looking at the F11F-1 Tiger, also known as the first fighter jet to shoot itself down, but we'll touch on that a bit later. As always, we'll talk about its design and development, service history, and of course, how it plays in-game. I hope you enjoy. The F-11's design began after a privately funded Grumman concept to modernise the F9F Cougar in 1952. The project, named G98, was to implement new design concepts and technological advancements, eventually resulting in a complete design departure from the F9F Cougar itself. The design had sparked an interest with the United States Navy with the potential for a supersonic performance aircraft with a reduced transonic drag. The new design, which was completed in 1953, was in no way similar to the F9F as I mentioned before. With two prototypes being ordered by the US Navy, the aircraft was initially designated XF9F-8. The design featured full-span leading-edge slats and trailing-edge flaps, with roll control achieved by using spoilers rather than more traditional ailerons, along with an all-moving tailplane. Although revolutionary for the 1950s, these control surfaces are now common features on modern-day fighter jets. The aircraft also featured manually folding wingtips for stowage aboard aircraft carriers. The F-11 was powered by a Wright J65 turbojet engine, a license-built version of the British Armstrong Siddeley Sapphire, which powered both the Gloucester Javelin and the Hawker Hunter. To add to the confusion with designations, the XF9F-8 became the XF9F-9, with the -8 designation going to another design, and unfortunately I couldn't find information exactly on when this happened, but I do assume that it happened very soon after the initial designation was given. The first prototype flew on July 30th, 1954, but due to the afterburning J65 not being complete, the aircraft flew without an afterburner, achieving speeds just shy of Mach 1. The second prototype, which flew soon after, was equipped with the afterburning J65, becoming the second supersonic US naval aircraft after the Douglas F-4D Skyray. During testing, the aircraft also achieved a world altitude record of 76,828 feet. Then in April of 1955, the aircraft was again redesignated from the XF9F-9 to the F11F-1. The aircraft began carrier trials on April 4th, 1956, when it landed and launched from the USS Forrestal. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the video, the F-11 was the first jet aircraft in history to shoot itself down. On September 21st, 1956, during a test firing of the 20mm cannons, pilot Tom Attridge fired 2 bursts during a shallow dive. As he was about to pull out of his dive, he described hearing a number of loud bangs, his windscreen shattered, and his engine began to fail. Basically, what had happened was the rounds he had fired had slowed due to air resistance during the dive, whilst the aircraft had not, leading to the aircraft crossing paths with the rounds it had just fired. Luckily, pilot Tom Attridge was able to land the aircraft safely and survived. The F-11F-1 entered service in 1956 with the nickname Tiger, with 7 US Navy squadrons, VF-21 and VF-33 in the Atlantic Fleet, and then VA-156, VF-24, VF-51, VF-121, and VF-191 in the Pacific Fleet. The Tiger's career aboard aircraft carriers was cut short with the introduction of the F-8 Crusader, proving a much more capable aircraft, and all F-11s were withdrawn from carrier operations in 1961. The J65 engine also ultimately proved unreliable, with the Tiger's capability being hindered by its short range and limited endurance, leading to the Navy's cancellation of its orders for a reconnaissance version of the F-11F-1P. The Tiger's carrier service life was only just over 4 years long. Also, whilst researching this aircraft, I wasn't actually able to find any solid evidence to suggest this aircraft had ever served in combat. Now, I'm sure there is 1 or 2 incidents where the aircraft might have engaged with another aircraft or kind of done something, I'm not entirely sure. As I say, I wasn't able to find anything myself that was concrete. Although the Tiger's carrier service was short, the Naval Air Training Command in South Texas at Naval Air Station Chase Field and Naval Air Station Kingsville continued to operate them until 1967 to give pilots a taste of supersonic flight before they progressed to fleet aircraft. The F-11 also saw service with the famous Blue Angels from 1957 to 1968 until it was eventually replaced by the F-4 Phantom. Some Tigers also served as testbeds by Grumman from 1973 to 1975, with 1975 being the last time a Tiger flew. Now, interestingly, 2 aircraft which were originally Blue Angels aircraft were taken from storage to then be reworked into testbeds, which is quite interesting, I found. It is also worth noting that in 1962 the Tiger's designation changed due to the tri-service naming system from F-11F-1 to the F-11A. Only around 200 Tigers were produced and only saw service with the United States Navy. If you'd like to see a Tiger for real, you can go to Naval Air Station Pensacola in Florida, the United States, where they have one as a static display. As I say, the last time a Tiger flew was in 1975 and they don't fly anymore. Maybe in the future we'll be able to see one that does fly, but at the moment there isn't any. Although the Tiger only realistically served from 1956 to 1967, there was a plan to upgrade the Tiger into the Super Tiger, which would upgrade avionics and engine power and performance in general, but it never went past the prototype stage, and only I think 3 were produced. So that leads us to talk about how it performs in-game. The F11F-1 Tiger is a Rank 6, battle rating 9.0 US jet, only available through the Operation Summer event that has just passed. The aircraft can reach a top speed of just over 900 miles per hour with a max altitude of around 50,000 feet. Armour on this aircraft is essentially non-existent, so don't expect to survive being hit by anything larger than a 50 cal. The aircraft is armed with 4 20mm Browning Colt Mark 12 Mod 0 cannons with 500 rounds, and the ability to carry AIM-9B Sidewinders, FFAR rocket pods, and bombs up to 1,000 pounds. Without the assistance of a catapult, the aircraft requires around 950 metres of runway to take off, and can turn 360 degrees in 37 seconds. The two major advantages of this aircraft are its speed and armament. With the ability to reach Mach 1 in good conditions, you can run relatively easily from enemy aircraft, barring maybe the Lightning and an up tier which is a 9.7. As long as you retain your energy and avoid turns where possible, the F11 can boom and zoom with ease. Another advantage of the F11 is that its ordnance loadout gives it the ability to perform multi-role duties with AIM-9Bs and 500-pound bombs or FFAR rockets. One of the biggest disadvantages to the F11 is the energy retention. In sharp turns, the aircraft will dump speed, and unfortunately the F11 doesn't manoeuvre well at lower speeds, which is where G91s and Sabres will get you. What I do like about the F11 personally is its multi-role capability, meaning it can be used effectively in both Air RB and Tank RB games. However, my biggest issue with the jet is nothing to do with the aircraft itself, the performance, nothing like that. I think the aircraft as a whole is incredibly good. It's very powerful in the right hands and if you play it right. Now my biggest problem with this jet is the repair cost. The repair cost, as stock, is 26,490. Stock. When spaded, the F11's repair goes up to 35,735. Now personally, I think this is an absolute joke. I mean, it's bad enough that the B-29 has a 64,000 repair cost at 7.0, but the F11, having just come from an event that you'd had to spend literally weeks of grinding, is now almost unplayable to people who don't have premium and don't play the aircraft perfectly. So the only time I've ever made any kind of Silver Lion gain from this aircraft is in a game where I get kills and I don't die, which, if any of you have played any like higher tier jets, is almost impossible. You will die 1 in every 5 games at least, because it's just how top tier is, and it's absolutely ridiculous to me that they've made the repair cost so high. Whatever Gaijin is doing is beyond me, but as I say, overall I love the F11 because it's easy to fly, it's very capable, and as I say, the only drawback to this aircraft is its ridiculous repair cost. Now I know Gaijin aren't going to listen to me, but if they do, Gaijin, please fix this. This is horrible. Anyways guys, just before we end, I'd like to say first of all, special thanks to Sparky and Golden for helping me get this footage together. They've been a tremendous help through the whole WarThunder series and pretty much all the content I make on YouTube. They've been a wonderful help with. Now I'll leave their channel links in the description below. I'd also like to say I'm sorry this episode's a little bit shorter than normal. I didn't actually realise when I first started researching the F11 how little history there was behind it, because I didn't really know that much about it, but I figured because it's quite a unique aircraft I'd put it into the series anyway. Now of course, if you've enjoyed today's video, please leave me a like. If you'd like to see a vehicle on the series, please leave it in the comment section below, and of course if you're new here and you like what I do, please consider subscribing. Now thank you very much for watching guys, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.